Beyond the Winning Post is brought to you by our stable of sponsors. Sir Peter Vela, along with his late brother Philip, are legends of the New Zealand thoroughbred racing industry, having established New Zealand Bloodstock and bred and raced many top-line racehorses under their Pencarrow Stud banner. We caught up with Sir Peter at his home in Tamahiri to learn more.
Well, that too.
Hello, Sir Peter. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me here today. Looks like
It's a pleasure.
I've come at the right time.
You have indeed.
And a few friends here with you today?
Yes, indeed. We have, and I was just chatting to Sir Patrick
Yes.
and to Joe Walls.
Lovely.
And the rest of the guys, David Ellis, of course, and David Bennett. And, yeah, just here for a lunch.
Sir Peter, when were you first introduced to racing?
At a very young age, actually, because I had my father had a friend who was involved in racing. We used to visit them at weekends and things like that, and I definitely enjoyed being around racehorses and racing, and it grew from there. Actually, in racing, probably started at university when I got a job on the starting stalls. $13 a day, which doesn't sound a lot now, but it was then. The only thing that minimised it was if I had losing bets on the day. But I enjoyed it very much, and that was sort of in the early 70s. And my local butcher at the time one day said to me, "I'm going to visit, I've got a horse in training just down the road, do you want to come and see it?" And so I went with him, and it was with a trainer called Laurie Laxon.
Oh, wow.
Yep, and I met him there. That was probably 71 or 70, and it didn't take long before we were planning to get a horse and try and win a race.
Would you class it as a hobby?
I guess, to be fair, it's gone a little past being a hobby, and it did back in 1996 when Sir Patrick approached my brother and I one day and asked us if we would consider buying the sales company and giving the breeders a little space to get themselves organised. So we ended up buying what was then Rights and Bloodstock, and thinking it was for a year or two, and 25 years later we're still there.
And you're referring to New Zealand Bloodstock,
New Zealand Bloodstock now. We changed the name from Wrightsons obviously to New Zealand Bloodstock, to representing the people, and that was it.
You'd think all of that would be enough to keep you busy, but you've also got Vela Fisheries?
Well, we had the fishing company. That was my full-time occupation up until the horse interest business came along, and now that's my total preoccupation.
What do you think has been the key to your success?
Very good question. A very wise man once told me when I was very young, "Don't forget this, my boy," he said, "success comes only before work in the dictionary, nowhere else. If you want to be successful, you're going to have to work hard." And it stuck with me.
Is there anything that you'd still like to achieve?
Oh yeah, I'd like to win some more races. I've got 3 runners at Wanganui soon, and I suppose having won a Hong Kong Cup and a Melbourne Cup and a Caulfield Cup and a BMW, those sorts of things, you know, never leave you. But yeah, I haven't won a Cox Plate, or that'd probably be the one.
What about important people to you?
Well, friends are the most important people that you can trust, who care about you and your staff. No business can succeed without good staff, good loyal people that work as hard as they possibly can for the betterment of the business, and you must never forget those sorts of things. And I'm proud that on this property I've still got the same manager for 30 years, we've got the same vet for 40 years, and I've got Joe Walls for lunch. He's been more than 40 years, and I'm really fortunate that one of the first people I encountered early in the breeding part of the business was when I decided to go from racing some geldings to getting some breeding stock. I was incredibly lucky to run into Sir Patrick Hogan. He steered me, I think, in the right direction. He had some fantastic fundamentals, and the first yearling we bought at Trentham was a Sir Tristram filly in his second year, out of a mare called Gold Heights by Gold Sovereign, and her a half to the Great Battle Heights. She went on to be the filly of the year. I learnt a very, very good lesson that day too, which she failed the vet, but I was still going to buy her then no matter what the vet said. And she ended up, she won a group race at 1200, 1400, 1600, 2,000 metres, a listed race at 2100, and a group race at 2400 metres, and retired sound. So that put me on the right track to make your own views and stick with them.
What would you say have been your proudest moments?
In racing, I suppose you have ambitions to win big races, and the bigger the race, the more competitors you've got and the harder it is to win. So I suppose to win a Hong Kong Cup with Romany Conti, as we did in 91 or 92 or so, that was an amazing achievement, and one I'll never forget. And then for that mare herself to leave the winner of the Melbourne Cup was just makes that part of the story, you know, so much more pleasurable and unforgettable.
What do you love about the New Zealand racing industry?
Well, I think the thing about it is that I love the horse, I love the camaraderie, I love the people that you get to race with and against, and it's just it goes back a very long way. It's got historical importance, and it's just I find it's a wonderful way to spend my time.
Why do you do what you do?
Well, I suppose what I do now, most of my time is taken up with the working hard for the betterment of the industry, and I suppose I do that because I've loved the industry. It's given me so much pleasure, and I feel a sense of responsibility to those that I'm just finishing a term now on the TAB board, which started with the Ministerial Advisory Group and so on. And I've given that my best shot because the industry means so much to me, and I want it to be there to mean a lot for the future.